Rolf. Rolf Barnes, Catherine Guzman. Have a seat. We're going to bring you up.
A team that had no equal was Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers. In the Barclays of Broadway, they danced the swing trot under the main titles of the picture. But with the titles removed, another musical gem is revealed from the most beloved dance team of all time.
Dancer in the land. It's Bill and Gooey, keep or Dewey. Just watch your partner's eyes grow dewy. Entre nous, your sight is screwy, but irresistible, on and on. Oh, what a natural hit of fun to get you going till you're really gone, and you will never rue the day you realize the swing crowd is here to stay.
Something new is added to the rhythm of a new dance. Added to the rhythm that the likes of me and you dance. Something new is happening in the USA. North America, take it away. How the girls who once were so lonely now go in for millionaires only. That is how they do the Astaire. Who can take the dope of the party, turn him into the hope of the party, only if he does the Astaire. Swing to the left, step to the right. Here you've got it, do the Astaire. Everyone discovers the answer to how much the world loves a dancer only when he does the Astaire. Step to the right, step to the left. And what have you got? Believe it or not, the Astaire. Swing top when we get the chance of all nations, and enhance your public relations just to dance the Astaire. Watch the feet, get that beat, place and show, away we go, we're dancing the Astaire.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for coming to Cy Walter's 110th birthday bash. It's actually his 110th birthday year, but his birthday would be September 16th. A little producer's license, but you just heard the inimitable Steve Ross and the incredible Peter Minton performing My Father's The Astaire, lyrics written by Andrew Rosenthal. And that song was written at the behest of Fred Astaire, who was dear friends with my father at the time. And the dance that you saw performed by the incredible dance team of Ginger Rogers and Fred Astaire was the Astaire Swing Trot. And Fred created that dance as part of his launching new dance studios, which still exists all over, in fact. They're very successful. And the Fred Astaire Dance Studios launched in March 1947 with a full-length Q magazine article and Variety article in May 1947 on the song itself, Size and Andrew's creation. And Fred Astaire appeared on a marvelous radio program that my father anchored called Piano Playhouse on ABC Radio in May of that year. And many people think of Fred as a dancer, and of course he was beyond description, but he was incomparable in other areas. He was also an amazing vocalist and an amazing musician, pianist and drummer. So that show, which included Art Tatum as a guest pianist, must have been a humdinger. And my my cousin Ruth was in attendance and absolutely raved about it. So the song had basically faded into relative obscurity, but my mother, God bless her, Cam Walter, kept everything from my father's career. And one of the things she kept was a disc from February of 1947, recorded by Fred Astaire and Benny Goodman, quintet of the Astaire song. It turned out to be the only extant recording. It was never released, and as a consequence, her retaining it meant that it's here to be enjoyed. So you'll hear more of that later, but we are here because of my mother's wisdom in keeping everything and her love for my father's artistry. It also meant the catalyst for my discovering my father's music as an adult about 20 years ago. I was unaware of his stature. He died when I was 11 at age 52 in 1968. I knew him as a loving father. I had no idea he was as famous or as much of a genius musician that he was. Until about 2004, when my mother pulled out a box of sheet music from the closet and told me of a conversation she had with Michael Feinstein about a decade before, where he had called her to ask what she still retained of Si's music. And she described the sheet music, some rare discs, other memorabilia she'd kept. And Michael urged her to get that sheet music into the Library of Congress to file it so that it would be shared and preserved. And she didn't do anything at that point, but about a decade later, she pulled this box out and shared it with me and said, you know, Michael Feinstein said this should be in the Library of Congress. Why don't you see what you can do about that? And my jaw dropped because I didn't know that my father had published sheet music or was a composer. And ultimately, I did file it with the Library of Congress with the help of a marvelous fellow named Mark Eden Horowitz, a senior music specialist who, sua sponte, after I'd contacted him, did a search of the library's holdings and found over a dozen songs we knew nothing about. They weren't in my father's sheet music collection. And he shared them with us, and some of them will be performed today as a consequence. So his generosity in doing that is something I'll always be grateful for. The people who have supported me are legion, many of them in this room. I am grateful to them all. It's been an amazing journey of friendship and camaraderie in the music, where my life literally has changed because of the gifts that people have brought to me and really came ultimately from my mother and my father. So I thank you all for being here to enjoy this. I'd like to recognize Vince Giordano, who is here with us. Amazing musician and musicologist with his Nighthawks. He has played my father's music repeatedly and beautifully with his wonderful orchestra and has been a dear friend who I'll always be grateful for. And you can catch him and the Nighthawks at Birdland every Monday and Tuesday night, and I cannot urge you more strongly than to catch them. They're amazing. There are also some people I'd like to acknowledge in terms of the Cy Walter Foundation, the organization we set up to share and preserve my father's music, the The board includes two friends who are not here, Jan Nelson and Bob Scott, for reasons of being out of town. But there are Michael Stever, who is filming this wonderful event in the back room, is a board member and a dear friend and an incredible supporter. Brian Weeks, who is to the right. Brian, if you could stand, is also a board member. And they're marvelous friends who have been supportive throughout. Al Avilas and Sal Russo are to my right, and many others. I thank you all for being here and supporting live music. We have an incredible cast, and I am blessed to be able to introduce right now Drew Peterson at the left piano and Jed Disler, our incredible music director, to whom I will always be indebted. And they are about to begin The Begin. That was, now the mic's working, my father's arrangement for four hands of Cole Porter's immortal Begin the Beguine. And my father's career went from 1934, essentially, when he started in New York City, although he had some performances before, we'll talk about later, but until 1968 when he passed away. And one of the amazing aspects of his career was that he knew everyone, and everyone seemed to know him, and bold-faced names were part of his coterie of friends and musical colleagues. Cole Porter was one of them, and he had, at one point, my father had a radio program on WR Radio in 1941, and he did an all Cole Porter show on August 8th, in which he opened by announcing that his respect for Cole Porter was immense, not only because he wrote lyrics as well as words to his music, but that he was so prodigious. And he cited an example of being at his Hollywood home playing the piano in a party, and Cole Porter came over to ask him what the beautiful piece was he was playing, and my father said, "Well, it's yours." So there were moments of wonderful creativity in my father's career where things just got delightfully funny. One of the people he knew and performed with on radio, because he had a very rich radio career, as well as a very rich recording artist career, but one of them was a woman named Eileen Farrell, who many of you may know from her operatic career, but she was also a very talented, popular singer, and she had her own radio program, and in 1945, she performed two pieces that Cy had written, words and lyrics, one of which we have only because my mother kept the broadcast transcription disc, and the other of which was made famous when Cy recorded it with my godmother, Mabel Mercer, on the Songs by Mabel Mercer, Volume 2. The first one was called I Wish, I Wish, I Wish, and the second one is called Some Fine Day. And we have the incredible, wonderfully talented Carol J. Bufford to perform them both.
I wish, I wish, I wish troubles would melt like candy. Wish things were all fine and dandy, and skies were always blue. Oh then, oh then, oh then, if wishes were in my power, each moment of every hour I would spend with you. We'd sail away to a golden isle and leave the world behind us. No cares would ever find us. How happy we would be if it were up to me. We always would be together. We'd never part with all my heart. I wish, I wish, I wish. Since my love's been away from me, seems everything's gone wrong. Here am I, lonely as can be, as I sing this little song. Wish troubles would melt like candy. Wish things were all fine and dandy, and skies were always blue. If wishes were in my power, each moment of every hour I would spend with you. We'd sail away to a golden isle and leave the world behind us. No cares would ever find us. How happy we would be if it were up to me. We never would be apart. We'd never part. With all my heart, I wish, I wish, I wish. Thank you very much. Some fine day I'll get my mind off you and figure out a way to make you see my point of view. Some fine day I'll get your mind on me. I'm planning to say and do some things that ought to make you see how we're wasting time instead of tasting the sublime we know is waiting. It doesn't seem quite fair. I wish you'd give my love a little higher rating. Anyway, I'll keep my fingers crossed. If you keep on shying, I'll just keep on trying, and maybe my heart will be lost some fine day. Thank you very much.
Well, that song has been recorded by a multitude of wonderful talents, including Mabel, Bobby Short, Marlene Verplank, and others. But it was just gorgeously performed by Carol. Thank you, Carol. The next couple of numbers are, well, the first one is called Daphne's Waltz, and it was written by my father for my sister, Daphne. It's correctly spelled by her name, D-A-P-H-N-E, but on the album that my father released it, his last album, Cy Walter at the Drake, on MGM, for some reason it got spelled D-A-F-F-N-E. So it's clear my father never had a chance to proof the album liner notes, because that's one of a couple of faux pas that we'll have to address. But anyway, Daphne's Waltz is a beautiful piece that is about to be performed by the incredible Peter Minton, who has been a supporter of my father's music and a dear friend since my discovering it a couple of decades ago, and in many respects plays as close to my father's style as one could ask, certainly in terms of being an amazing musicologist of the 20s, 30s, and early 20th century. Peter will now play Daphne's Waltz, and after that we'll play a marvelous Jerome Kern song, Waltz in Swing Time, which was also the theme song for the ABC Radio Piano Playhouse show that my father anchored for many years. Peter? 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 I think there's a second song coming. It was so beautiful that you couldn't pick up to the next one. Thank you, Peter. Thank you, Peter Minton. I would be remiss if I did not introduce my nephew Christian, who is seated beside me. Obviously, happy to have him here. And, the mention of my father's Cy Walter at the Drake MGM album. The next song is titled on that album, What's a Nova Bossa? As a question mark. And my father had a great sense of humor with words, and he actually titled this piece, What's a Nova, comma, Bossa? And so, what's a new boss was what he intended. And, again, in the sense of there not having been a chance to prove, I'm sure. We're going to have it, it's obviously available as a solo piano piece composed by him and played by him on that album, but we're now going to have the extreme pleasure of duo piano, What's a Nova, Bossa, by Jed Disler and Steve Sandberg. Bravo, Steve and Jed. I had never heard that duo piano arrangement before today, and it's their creation. My father played duo piano extensively with many a marvelous pianist. He was best known with Stan Freeman, but he played with Walter Gross and Teddy Wilson and just a bevy of the bold-faced piano names of that era. Unfortunately, we did not have any scores other than Begin the Beguine of my father's duo piano playing. We have lots of recordings due to the generosity of various people who have been kind enough to share them with me, but that's their creation. I'd mentioned Michael Feinstein before, and I wanted to share the gratitude I have for him because when I reached out to him about filing my father's sheet music with the Library of Congress, which I ultimately did do, thanks to Mark Eden Horowitz's help, I called him up at the Regency, left a voicemail. He got back to me the next day, and he couldn't have been more supportive. And from that initial call has been a wonderful friendship over the years that I treasure. One of the things that transpired during our initial conversation was I asked him who was playing my father's music, and he cited two people, Peter Minton, who we just had the joy of hearing and we'll hear again, and Alex Hassan, who is a Virginia-based pianist and musicologist who would be with us today if he wasn't conflicted with another performance. But the conversation included my listing the sheet music we had, and I think it was the third time that I said to Michael, "It's wonderful," that he gently interjected and said, "Well, Mark, it's actually pronounced swonderful." And of course I was embarrassed as all get out and started apologizing. And he said, "No, I don't know anything about law. Why should you know anything about music?" So gracious, anyway. He told a wonderful tale in his autobiography of being a young pianist in LA with a need to travel the next day, and it was in the era of there being few ATMs, so he went to a local 7-Eleven, drove in and parked and saw a bunch of biker types, rough-looking characters, rather anxiously and nervously went across their path to get to the ATM and come out with his money and hoped for no problems. But when he came out, he found one of the rough biker types standing by his car, pointing at the vanity plate, which read SWNDFL. And the fellow said, excitedly, pointing at it, "Hey, that's Gershwin, ain't it?" And friendship blossomed, fear went aside, and, they were friends. So I say that because I think it's important in this troubled time that we remember that we're all human, we're all common, and to be kind with one another is the best blessing we can give one another. And it's wonderful. The next piece is a gorgeous piece that my father composed in 1940 or so. We don't have an exact date. It was copyrighted in '58, called Music for Twilight. And he used it as his theme song for his 1941-42 radio program on WR Radio. It was never lyricized. It's only a piano solo, but it's a beautiful piece. And that radio show ran successfully for some time, but it's an amazing fact of the generosity of people that we actually have recordings of it from that far back. And in the war years, it was hard to retain any discs of any sort because the materials were needed. But some have survived, and before you on each table is not only a program in the envelope, but a complimentary CD That includes my father's Harold Arlen show, which was absolutely spectacular. And also included in that CD is a medley that he did for with Stan Freeman for a live performance celebrating Harold Arlen in 1965 in Lincoln Center. That came to us through the generosity of Michael Feinstein's sharing it with me. So I know that people these days look at a CD as anathema, that there's something from the 19th century or something. But the fact of the matter is, even if you don't have a CD player, you can buy inexpensively online a external CD drive that will plug into your computer, and you can play this CD as well as CDs and DVDs on it. I hope you do so, because the music that's on the CD is my father's piano solos, mostly from the Piano Playhouse show, but also from rare transcription discs. And you'll find those recordings nowhere else. So please enjoy. And we now have Drew Peterson again. And the pleasure is ours, about to play my father's music for Twilight. The Piano Playhouse show, I have mentioned a couple of times, was a unique format that ran on radio from 1943 to 1953. And my father was the most consistent, and it really was his show in a real sense, because he was part of the duo anchor piano team. That was a constant each week. But alongside those duo anchor pianists who would play popular music were a team of ever-changing jazz or popular pianist and a guest classical pianist. And they were all top performers of their era. And so the show had a very rich quality. It also closed with a multi-piano improvisation session where the artists weren't told what the song was they were to improvise on until the start of the show. And there was no time to prepare. They basically each played their own style of that particular song, Embraceable You, or whatever they had that day. And then they'd all play it unrehearsed in a marvelous jam session that was truly unique. And given the caliber of the artists who were on the program, it was a phenomenal experience. To a live audience, often at 30 Rockefeller Plaza. My father teamed most with Stan Freeman, who was an amazing piano artist of that era, who could play almost any style. And the two of them melded their minds. They never wrote anything down, but they could create the most beautiful duo piano arrangements simply by talking them through. And once they sat down and played them that way, they would ever after, without any notes or any further discussion, play them exactly the same. So I use the term melding advisedly. We're now going to hear one of those recordings. This comes from the collection of Alex Hassan, who generously shared it with us, with me. And this is a performance that includes Cy, Stan, and Liberace.
Well, back to the informal attitude once again as we delve into the profound mysteries of improvisation. What are you going to play, Playboys? Familiar to all, I'm sure, Alexander's Ragtime Band. And I will hear each of the artists improvise on that theme, and finally they'll join hands on all three keyboards at once. Stanley, would you like to be the first to improvise? Very nice, Stan. Now we hear from Cyril, who always has something unusual up his talented sleeve. Cy. Now we hear from Liberace, who has really planned something unique. Well, that was swell, but we promised you'd hear all three of them improvising at once on their three keyboards, so here we go.
Well, as you can see, if you imagine being in front of that stage with three incredible pianists and two others that might have been there, they made some wonderful music. I have a fondness for this next piece because I know my father loved it, but I also know that we almost lost it. It's called Time and Tide, and my father wrote the music, and Alec Wilder wrote the lyrics. Alec Wilder, another luminary of that era, was a dear family friend and collaborator of my father. We had lost the sheet music after from the collection, and it turned out to be extraordinarily rare. Alex Hassan, who was a librarian in his other life, and knew the Library of Congress inside out, was unable to find anything but a lead sheet. And I was at wit's end. My mother had given the sole copy we had to an amazing pianist, singer, and dear, dear family friend, really family, named Buddy Barnes. And Buddy performed it and recorded it, but after he passed, sadly at age 52, too young, we couldn't find it in his collection. So after several months, many months actually, of trying to find it, I suddenly had an insight and realized that somebody who loved Alec Wilder might have a copy of it. And I Googled Alec Wilder, and I came up with an organization called Friends of Alec Wilder, which has carried on his musical legacy and which I've been involved with ever since. This was around 2006, I think. And a woman named Judy Bell, a wonderful archivist and a dear friend, no longer with us, sadly, but I left her a voicemail. She called me back and said, I don't know why we have this. We didn't publish it. She worked with the Richmond organization, which published a lot of Alec Wilder's music. But it's in our files, and you're welcome to it. And so it was rediscovered, and we now have it here to enjoy. Jed is going to play it, accompanying I'm often at a loss for words for this vocalist, but the amazing Marissa Mulder.
Time and tide, night and noon, endless Now there's only night and day, and time and tide. I watch a special cloud against the blue in all of memory's crowd. There's only you, but you are far away, oceans wide. Now there's only night and day, and time and tide.
Jed just performed my father's Mrs. Malaprop, which malapropism, my father loved playing with words, and I think you can see the humor in this song. Gorgeously played, Jed, thank you. The next song was written by my father with the lyrics by a dear, dear family friend named Chilton Ryan. Chilton was a producer, writer. He was a multi-talented fellow, and Cy and he wrote several songs together. This one is one of my favorite of theirs, and it's called See a Ring Around the Moon. And we have the wonderful Steve Ross to play and sing it for us.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I guess this is there's a 12-step program for the pianophiliacs, but we're all here. I'm so glad we're meeting. What a feast we have. I wanted to mention one quick thing. As I was growing up in Bethesda, Maryland in the 50s and wanting to get out of Bethesda, Maryland, every week I would have my lifeline with reading the New Yorker magazine. I said, I want to go where they talk like that and where they laugh like that and what they had these conversations. And the going-ons around town was done by a marvelous guy named Popsy Whitaker, and he spoke about Cy when he was at the Drake all those years. And I got to town in October, and he had passed away in August. So it is more than ever meaningful for me to be part of this wonderful celebration. So thank you. See a ring around the moon, misty glow and silver gray, and you'll see rain by the end of the day. See a crocus in the snow, tender green and icy white. You'll know the springtime at last is in sight, and summer love will fly from winter's cold, unless it's sheltered by a ring of gold. See a ring around the moon, and you'll fall in love as soon as you see rain from the ring around the moon. And summer love will fly from winter's cold, unless it's sheltered by a ring of gold. See a ring around the moon, and you'll fall in love as soon as you can see rain fall from the ring around the moon.
We're now about to enjoy a bit of Arthur Schwartz and Howard Dietz, a medley performed on duo pianos by Peter Minton and Steve Ross. The two numbers played were, I guess I'll have to change my plans, and by myself. Beautifully done. Thank you, Peter and Steve. We now come to what is a perfect example of the gifts I've been given in the most unusual ways in this journey, and it's also an example of the rarity of materials surviving. My father had a rich TV career, but it was in the early part of TV mostly. He was on the Today Show with Dave Garroway and had his own radio program with Stan Freeman called Three's Company, and the format had duo pianos and vocalists, two wonderful vocalists, Martha Wright and Judy Lynn, were on the show. It ran for about 6 months. He was also on the Stork Club TV show, the Stork Club being the infamous and famous nightclub of the elite and those who wanted to be seen with the elite. The Three's Company singers both went on, they were young in their careers, Martha Wright and Judy Lynn, to become stars in their own right. Martha Wright because she stepped into the shoes of Mary Martin as Nellie Forbush in the original South Pacific. And Judy Lynn because she had a very rich radio career and also went on to Broadway and most prominently Top Banana with Phil Silvers. She's often confused, sadly, with a later country Western star of the same name. So if you Google Judy Lynn or even Top Banana, you'll find a picture of the country Western star, not Judy Lynn, the wonderful popular singer. The country Western was a blonde. Judy Lynn, the popular singer, was a stunning brunette. The wonders of our internet technology. In any event, this particular segment that we're about to see is the only surviving film footage we have of my father playing. Sadly, the shows that he was on, maybe it was Kinescope or they just got taped over, but they no longer have survived or surfaced. And this came to me because a fellow named Mort Fleischman had put out his autobiography, Who Cares?, titled after the Gershwin song, probably. And in it, it came up in Google Books with a page on Cy performing in a television show called Keys of the City, which aired in 1952. Excited, I contacted Mart, who I reached in California, where I then lived, and said, do you have any footage from this? He said, well, my partner, Jerry Gregoris, might. He lives in Chicago. I'll ask him. And they dug out disparate film reels that had sound on one reel and film on the other. And with the help of Amber Edwards, who I believe may be with us, a wonderful producer who produced Michael Feinstein's three-part PBS American Songbook series, and Vince Giordano's wonderful documentary, There's a Future in the Past. Bravo, Vince. Well, in any event, Amber pointed me to Postworks, a film processing lab that when I brought these reels, they sort of looked at me like, gee, I think we might be able to do something with a film, but we gave around that sound equipment to the museum a long time ago. It took a lot of work, but we now have what is the only matching footage of the both sound and film. And it's a song called A Guy is a Guy, and Oscar Brand wrote it shortly before the show was performed. Doris Day had a huge hit with it subsequently. A novel part of the film clip is the fact that Stan Freeman is singing, something he almost never did. He was an amazing pianist, but rarely a vocalist, with June Valley, who was herself an amazing star of that era. So we now have a segment from Keys of the Sea.
three-letter word for guy.
Three-letter word, but I never heard of three-letter guy. Did you sigh?
Not I.
Well, guy is a guy, wherever he may be. So listen and I'll tell you what this fella did to me.
I'm gonna tell you what that fella did. Hey, she walked down the street like a good girl should.
He followed me down the street like I knew he would.
Because a guy is a guy wherever he may be.
So listen and I'll tell you what this fella did to me.
Didn't do nothing. She just stopped at her house like a good girl should.
He followed me to my house like I knew he would.
Because a guy is a guy wherever he may be.
So listen and I'll tell you what this fella did to me.
It was easy. I just asked her for a good night kiss. She said it's still good day.
I would have told him more, except his lips got in my way.
Well, she walked down the aisle like a good girl should.
And he followed me down the aisle like I knew he would.
Because a guy is a guy wherever he may be.
So now you heard the story of what someone did to me. That's what you did to me.
That is an astonishing find, but it is also an example of the generosity I've encountered from the many people over the course of the past couple of decades who have supported my efforts to preserve and share my father's music. And I thank you all. You know who you are, and I'm grateful. And some of them, Stan Freeman, as I said, mostly played piano and Cy and he on Piano Playhouse. They also did recording records together. One of the wonderful people in my life and our families' lives, because our families are truly intertwined, I think is here tonight. Scott Perrin. I see him in the back. Scott, would you please stand up? I'd like you to be recognized. Scott is, as he puts it, we're brothers, and our family has gone back to the 50s. The musicality of both families, Perrins and Walters, is astonishing. Scott's father, Forrest Perrin, was an amazing pianist and society orchestra leader. Scott's aunt, Margaret Perrin, also an amazing pianist and society leader in Atlanta, Forrest being more based in New York. Our Cy and Forrest, as Maggie would tell me, were so akin that they would crack each other up constantly in whatever context they found themselves. And Maggie became a very dear friend of mine. I would visit her in Atlanta. She passed away at 101 a couple of years ago, but Compass Mentis to the end. And Scott and Maggie and Scott's mother, Leslie Davidson, dear, dear, dear friends. And they've been incredibly supportive all throughout my father's and my efforts to keep the music alive. So thank you, Scott. We're turning to a performer who I first encountered years ago, a vocalist of inestimable talent who has actually for many years been sort of off the cabaret scene, but has returned after that hiatus to our blessings. I'm not giving detailed biographies of people because you'll find them in the program, and I don't want to take up the time. But Craig is also, his hiatus involved studying and becoming a pastor in the Princeton area, and he brings a wealth of talent and compassion to the beautiful music he performs. And he'll be performing 3 songs of my father's, Each Time I See You, I'll Never Tire of You, and Venice Has Water in the Streets. which Cy wrote with Chilton Ryan. And I'll Never Tire With You was actually recorded in 1942 on a Bluebird 78. The Bluebird 78 was somewhat novel because at that time there was a ban on commercial recordings. I think it just squeaked under it. The American Federation of Musicians president, James Petrillo, wanted royalties for his members and wasn't getting them, but as a consequence, the government worked out a deal that commercial recordings would not happen, but any recording artist that the troops wanted would record on government discs, with the understanding they'd never be commercially released and that they had to be destroyed at the end of the war, which many, sadly were, but thankfully some survived, which is why we have the Piano Playhouse recordings you've heard and I've been referring to. So we now have, accompanied by our wonderful music director and talent, Jed Disler, Craig Rubano.
Each time I see you, my heart goes wide. I can't remember ever feeling so beguiled. When I see your smile, I want to shout. This must be what style is all about. Each time I dream you, it's clear to me that you were born just to adorn my family tree. It's got to be you, 'cause it's my design each time I see you to make you mine. When I see your smile, I want to shout. This must be what style is all about. Each time I dream you, it's clear to me that you were born just to adorn my family tree. It's got to be you, 'cause it's my design each time I see to make you mine. It's got to be you, 'cause it's my design each time I see you to make you mine. I yawn at the movies, I'm sated with swing, grown tired of moonlight, Tchaikovsky and spring. But this I know, I'll never tire of you, of people and parties. My patience is gone. I'm tired of dancing from dinner till dawn. But this I know, I'll never tire of you. My heart's a talent scout for love, who found me something lasting. The part will fit you like a glove. My heart's done perfect casting. I'll take all my past life and trade it for this, a bundle of daydreams, a girl and a kiss, because I know I'll take all my past life and trade it for this. A bundle of daydreams, a girl and a kiss. Because I know I'll never tire of you. I'll never tire of you. When in Rome I was home, gay Paris was for me, London too, till I knew that Venice has water in the streets. Lost my heart to Montmartre, got a thrill in Brazil, ran around till I found that Venice has water in the streets. Anywhere in the world a traffic jam is frantic, but when you're in a gondola, there's nothing more romantic. So adieu, Malibu. Though I'm so fond of you, I'm afraid we're through, 'cause Venice has water in the streets. Anywhere in the world a traffic jam is frantic, but when you're in a gondola, there's nothing more romantic. So adieu, Malibu. Though I'm so fond of you, I'm afraid we're through, 'cause Venice has water in the streets.
Bravo, Craig. Bravo. And Jed. What terrific piano playing. Whew. Yes, a hand for Jed. Well, I mentioned I'll Never Tire of You as a song that my father wrote. He wrote it with two other wonderful musicians, Jimmy Dobson and Richard Colmar. Richard Colmar was a dear friend of my father who was also a pianist and, well, singer and producer. As an example of how amazing things have happened over the course of the past 20 years with me in my father's music, I got a contact by email from a fellow named George Gossard about I'll Never Tire of You. He had written a Wikipedia article on it because his father had performed it as part of an orchestra that had recorded it, as I mentioned, on the Bluebird label, Sam Donohue's orchestra. And Wikipedia's editors challenged the depth of the article, and he was looking for more material on the song. And he ultimately found so much material, some of which I gave him, others that he diligently found and researched himself, that editor probably was embarrassed by the outcome. It's a wonderful article that you can read on Wikipedia, but he then suggested that there was an organization that he had recently been interviewed by, a radio program called Our American Stories, and that he thought my journey would make a great story. So he put me in touch with the producer, Monty Montgomery, is the fellow's name. I always think of the Canadian Royal Mounted Police when I say it. But Monty turned out to be absolutely delightful and interviewed me, and it aired and is still to be heard as a podcast because of George Gossard's intervention and help. There's another person I'd like to recognize who's here, Tim Walker. Tim, I think you're in the far back. Tim is a friend from New Hope Scrabble Club in a wonderful used bookstore that I would frequent years ago when I lived in central New Jersey. And he's responsible for having put Cy Walter on Wikipedia, for which I'll always be grateful. Thank you, Tim. We now have 2 piano solo and duo performances of one piece we would not have at all except for Mark Eden Horowitz's finding it, called I Love Milani. We initially thought it might be Milan, but it's actually Milani. And what significance that name had for my father, we'll probably never know. But that will be performed as a duo with Jed and Steve, followed by a duo with Jed and Steve on a number I found in the University of California's library database that my father had written. And this one I'm going to have to read. It's titled Opus 1,869,669 and 5/8. I don't know why it was in that library. There you go. In any event, I Love Milani. Bravo, Steve. Bravo, Jed. I can state with confidence that those two pieces have not been played, at least not since my father passed away, by anyone, and certainly nowhere near so beautifully as they were a moment ago. Thank you. I'd be remiss not to mention a dear friend who's no longer with us, but was also part of the Scrabble Club that I just mentioned in the wonderful bookstore called The Bookseller in New Hope, which actually gave birth to many significant friendships. But this particular friend, Richard Behrens, we all owe a debt of incredible gratitude to, because it was his idea. He was a website designer at the time. He went on to become an author and teacher. To create the Cy Walter website. This was back in 2004. And with his help and hundreds of volunteer hours on his part, we launched that website around 2005. And it has reached people around the world. Sadly, he passed. He was with us for the centennial celebration a decade ago, but he passed at age 52 of cancer and is sorely missed. Besides Richard, there's somebody else I wanted to celebrate. And in this, I'm actually emulating something that Marissa Mulder did in her incredible This Is 40 show at the Green Room 42 on February 6th. And that person is Danny Bacher. I know many of you knew Danny Bacher. I knew him as a music friend. We weren't close, but he was one of the people that I encountered that inspired me, and his talents were legion, and his personality was golden. He had this ability to bring enthusiasm to whatever he turned his mind to, and when you met him, you felt that. And I had wanted him to be a part of this show. It was something I planned. It's something that obviously couldn't transpire, but he's sorely missed, and he gave us so much while he was with us. An author, just published shortly before his passing, an amazing musician, and a delightful light that I will always feel grateful to have known. Thank you, Danny. The next two songs, we bring back the terrific Carol J. Bufford. Carol is going to sing Nocturne, which was written by my father. I did not realize it was originally called Flossikins, and he wrote it for my grandmother, his mother, Flossie. And it was subsequently lyricized by Cy, originally instrumental, and named Nocturne, and published by George Shearing, who was a dear friend of my father's and who performed some of my father's original music with his quintet. But we now have Carol to give us Nocturne with Jed.
Song of whispered reverie, dream with me a nocturne, with music echoing from sky to sea, a strain of refrain of sadness, a soft duet divine of secret harmony. Evening sighs a knock tune as shadows hover through its haunting theme. Hear my quiet nocturne, a breathless melody for love supreme. You can't deny it. Your heart will cry it unless the music of my nocturne is a dream. Now the man has gone and left you flat, left you high and dry. Why, the dirty rat. Welcome to the club, I'm a member too. Now you paid your dues, I got some news for you. You only get what's coming to ya when a man has done you wrong, so wrong. You only get what's coming to ya when you listen to his song. Sing a song. With a man you gotta keep a step ahead. Keep your head or you're dead. Just to make him do you right, you gotta fight day and night, mostly night. And if he tries to sock it to you, play it cool and play along. Ping pong. You gotta gain the upper hand or you'll be unmanned. If he chickens out as man and wife, variety is still the spice of life. And you can get what's coming to ya when the next man comes along. Tell him he can be your Romeo, provided he can change the status quo. Or you can get what's coming to ya when the next man comes along. You only get what's coming to ya when a man has done you wrong.
Drew, here we go. I'll mention that song, When a Man Has Done You Wrong, was written by Chilton Ryan, the lyrics, and my father, for what was actually a off-Broadway show that didn't end up going far, but Chilton was with us for the Cy Walter Centennial Celebration a decade ago and wrote new lyrics for it, making it the beautiful piece that Carol just so gorgeously performed. And now Drew Peterson is going to perform The Song Is You, Jerome Kern. And Jed Disler. I'm going to let you in on a little secret. That Song Is You arrangement, you probably figured this out, was my father's. And gorgeously played. We're coming to what I think is one of the most special parts of this show. It's an effort to match technology with talent, and I wouldn't ask anyone with lesser talent, if that's possible, than this particular vocalist to take it on. Marissa Mulder is now going to perform the song All the Things You Are to my father's accompaniment.
Something to make my heart beat the faster. What did I long for? I never really knew. Finding your love, I found my adventure. Touching your hand, my heart beats the faster. All that I want in all of this world is you. Promised kiss of springtime that makes the lonely winter seem long. You are the breathless hush of evening that trembles on the brink of a lovely song. You are the angel glow that lights a star. The dearest things I know are what you are. Someday my happy arms will hold you, and someday I'll know that moment divine when all the things you are mine. Star. The dearest things I know are what you are. Someday my happy arms will hold you, and someday I'll know that moment divine when all the things you are
Thank you, Marissa. Incredible. All the Thing You Are was my father's perhaps favorite song because he was the first person to sing it, play it, I'm sorry. Look at what Marissa has done. I'm thinking of it as singing. So gorgeous. The song was written for a play called Very Warm for May that didn't really succeed, but that standard grew out of it. And Oscar Hammerstein II and Jerome Kern brought the music to Cy, who was then the orchestra and rehearsal pianist, to play the night after they wrote it, and it went in the show the next day. So it's a piece that my father held quite dear, and of course it went on to incredible success. The next two numbers come to us because of the generosity and Richard Behrens' catalyst of the website. I got a call from a fellow named Bob Wood Jr. From Seattle. He'd found the website and discovered my contact information. He called me to tell me that his father, Bob Wood Sr., and my father were dear friends in Minneapolis growing up together. They were about 6 years apart. And Cy, at age 13, wanted to be in the orchestra that Bob Wood Sr. had at that time, and approached Bob Wood Sr. and said, "Can I be in your orchestra?" But he was playing the cello. And we had always thought from his liner notes that he took up the piano because, as he put it in his liner notes to A Dry Martini, Please, in Cy Walter at Peacock Alley, it was too hard to transport the cello on the Minneapolis bus system. So he took up the piano, which was probably easier, I suppose. In any event, that wasn't the true story. Bob Wood revealed the true story, and that was that my father wanted to be in Bob Wood's orchestra, and when Bob Wood Sr. said to Cy, "Well, you've got a great music teacher in your mother, why don't you learn the piano, and then you can be in my orchestra?" And Cy said, "Deal." And as Bob Wood Sr.'s memoirs reflect, he came back having learned the piano and joined his orchestra. And the time interval was 3 months. So he, as Bob Wood Jr. said, my father had a birth defect. He was just genius. Immodestly, I say, but true. So the song that is now about to be performed by Marissa is called Who Am I? And we only have it because another gift that Bob Wood Jr. made to me was his father's collection of rare transcription discs that he had of my father's music. And one of them was a gift to Bob Wood Sr. by my father that was made on July 7th, 1941 for Bob Wood Sr.'s birthday. And this disc opens with Cy and Richard Colmar, the producer and actor and friend of my father's, composer with my father's, singing Happy Birthday to Bob Wood Sr. But then my father says, Dick Colmar's here, we're cutting discs in the studio, and he's consented to sing a song of mine, Who Am I? We didn't have this song. It was something that we had only as lyrics that he had typewritten up on a little scrap of paper. You'll find it in the program. And Dick Colmar proceeds to sing it to Cy's playing. I later realized that it was the precursor. My father's music and words were its own song to what was later, a month later, published, or unpublished, but filed as a copyright. Mark Eden Horowitz gave us a copy, called Close Your Eyes. But we have a recording of Cy playing Close Your Eyes, or the music to Close Your Eyes, which is the same music as Who Am I? And Marissa will now give us both.
Who am I to dare to dream a dream of love about the two of us? It can't be true for you and you, and who am I? Who am I to dare suppose that dreams of heaven can come true of us? It can't be real, you're so ideal, and who am I? My every dream has only one theme, an ode to your loveliness, a longing for your caress, but how can it be for? Who am are for you before I sleep. So slumber will fold you to her breast. Close your eyes and sail away. Your ship of dreams can bring you here to me. The early lights will end our night, so close your eyes. The murmuring breeze, the whispering trees are part of your lullaby. The south wind will softly sigh and tell you I'm lonely. Close your eyes, forget the world. Remember only that you're dear to me. With early dawn, our dreams are gone. So close your eyes. Thank you.
Beautiful, Marissa, beautiful. And I need to mention that the lyrics to the second song you heard, or the same song but different lyrics, were Richard Colmar's, not my father's. So it gives you a sense of what creativity could grow from one piece of music. The next piece that Marissa is going to sing is another Richard Rodgers piece. Of course, the duo piano performance before was of Lover. My father and Richard Rodgers' friendship was deep and went back to early in my father's career when he opened the Algonquin Supper Club in 1939 with Greta Keller, a wonderful Viennese vocalist of that era. It later became known as the beloved Oak Room, which is sorely missed. But at the time, it was a novelty for the Algonquin Hotel, and Frank Case, the owner, only opened it under duress from demands from his manager and Greta, and it turned out to be an incredible success. And the daughter of Frank Case, Maggie Case Harriman, sent a disc of my father's, probably higher and higher, but a Richard Rodgers, Liberty Music Shop 78 to Rodgers. She was a journalist for the New Yorker at that time and had interviewed Rodgers and Lorenz Hart. And Rodgers listened to this disc and wrote the most delightful fan letter that you'll find on the back of the program, opening it up with, "Who are these Cy and Walter fellows? Because you can't tell me one man's playing all that piano." So the friendship continued through their lives, or through to my father's death in 1968. And one of my father's most significant and beautiful albums is called Rodgers Revisited and has Cy and Dick Rodgers on the cover, something my mother told me Rodgers fiercely resisted having his photo taken and used commercially, but he was happy to do so out of his friendship of my father and his respect for his musicianship. And we have, from that album, my father's recording of I Have Dreamed, which Marissa will now be singing to.
I have dreamed that your arms are lovely. I have dreamed what a joy you'll be. I have dreamed every word you'll whisper when you're close to me. How you look in the glow of evening. I have dreamed and enjoyed the view. In these dreams I've loved you so that by
Thank you so much, Marissa. That was magical. We are now coming to the close of the program, and I have to share thank yous with the wonderful Cutting Room staff and owner. Steve Walter is the owner and manager, no relation, but delightful, terrific fellow who is, I'm so grateful for our being able to host this here in this terrific venue. William Giraldo is our sound and lighting engineer, has done a beautiful job. Thank you, William. And Michael Stever has been filming videography. Thank you, Michael. Frank Dane is himself a marvelous cabaret performer who actually just did a show at Don't Tell Mamas that I was privileged to be at a few days ago. But he's also a super talented graphic designer, and while I supplied the material, the program you have before you is a work of art, and it's his. So thank you, Frank Dane. And I also want to thank Yamaha Artist Services because they donated the second piano. And we wouldn't have been able to pull this off without them. Bonnie Barrett is the director, and Makia Matsuma is the person who has facilitated this. Most of all, I want to thank each and every one of you for coming out this afternoon and for sharing my journey and for sharing my father's artistry and for supporting live music. Thank you. This piece doesn't need an introduction.
Thank you. And thank you, Mark Walter, for making this beautiful afternoon possible.
Thank you, Jed and Steve. But Jed, I will always be in your debt for this music directing. I am not a musician and could never have pulled this off. But he did it beautifully. And I'd like now to ask all cast members to join us on stage. This is what would be known as a group bow. So, please, Jed Disler, Steve Ross, Drew Peterson, Peterman, Greg Urbano, Marissa Mulder, Carol J. Buffer, and Steve Sandberg. What an incredible cast. I can't thank them enough for making my father's music come alive. Bravo, brava. And our closing number, I promised you The Astaire by Benny Goodman. As Fred Astaire was wont to say, I'd rather play like Benny Goodman than dance like Fred Astaire. Well, he picked Benny Goodman to perform my father's The Astaire. Here we have it.
Something has been added, it's the rhythm of a new dance. Added to the rhythm that the likes of me and you dance. Something new is traveling through the USA. North America, take it away. How do girls who once were so lonely now go in for millionaires only? This is how they dance the Astaire. What can make the dope of the party turn into the hope of the party? Only this, he does the Astaire. Step twice to the left, step twice to the right. And what have you got, believe it or not, the Astaire. Swing trot, everyone discovers the answer to how much the world loves the dancer when he does the Astaire.
Yeah, wonderful. Good to see you, Michael. Yeah, I thought it was fabulous. I was taking notes, especially there were 3 or 4 ballads that just knocked my socks off. I want to get the music for them, lead sheets, pass it on to some musician friends. A couple of pianists, I think, will be very, very interested in some of those piano performances as well. You know, it was really great. You did a fabulous job on sound and everything. Thanks for making it great. Appreciate it. Okay.
Great. Good seeing you, man.
Okay, right there? Okay.
be singing Cy Walter?
What a wonderful show. It was so inspiring, and I learned so much. And I wish my son saw this. He's a piano player. He would have loved it. And my dad probably listened to Cy Walter on the radio in those days. They were about the same age. So it was, oh, I saw a friend. Anyway, what a great show. Congratulations to everyone, all the great performers, a lot of people I knew already, some new ones, and it was really wonderful to see. I'm so glad I was here.
Thank you.
Okay.
Beautiful. Good seeing you. Hey, how are you, my dear? What's in your heart?
Look.
Right here, run my finger.
Okay, all right. Hi, wow, what a great show that was. And I learned so much. And of course, the most lovely tunes were sung by Carol Buford and Marissa Mulder, and some great solo piano playing as well. I really enjoyed the evening, you know, and Steve Ross was magnificent as always. It was really great. And Craig Rubano, too.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Awesome. Good seeing you.
Good to see you. I didn't know that was you behind the camera.
Diane, come. You want to jump in? You know what? This is totally off the cuff. Tell us what's in your heart.
Oh, no, I'll let Brian do that.
It was a wonderful experience. Today's show made me feel like Mark's father was here with us. I'd never met the man, and his wonderful talent clearly came through to Mark. From his father's musicality to Mark's legal expertise, it's incredible. Really enjoyed it. Glad to have been here today. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Tell us your name. What's in your heart?
Hi, I'm Alex Leonard.
Hi, Alex.
If there ever was a labor of love, I would imagine this would be it for everybody involved. Cy Walter, what a remarkable genius of a piano player. And when I think about New York, and I think about the Algonquin, and I think about those days, the halcyon days, the golden age, the cabaret scene in New York City, my gosh, what a pleasure to be here and listen to the music that was performed by Fred Astaire, all these great tunes by Jerome Kern, even Liberace was involved. And I want to just thank Mark for doing such a terrific job and everybody involved. This really was a highlight of the year.
You know the soundbite. That's wonderful, man. Thank you.
My pleasure.
So much. Have you been an admirer of Cy Walter's work?
Absolutely, I have been an admirer of Cy Walter's work. And also to hear his songs interpreted by Steve Ross, Carol Buford, Marissa Mulder, and Craig Rubano, and Peter Benson was an absolute treat. You can't get this anywhere else. And this like New York is the place to be to hear Cy Walter's music. And Mark did a wonderful job hosting.
He does. He's a great host, right?
God bless you, Mark. God bless you for keeping the legacy alive, which is very much needed. God bless you.
So, it's literally in the genes with you.
It is. It is. Are you rolling right now? Okay.
Just off the cuff.
Just anything I want.
Yeah, anything you want. What's in your heart right now?
What an amazing show that was. I'm so thankful to my lovely Uncle Mark for putting it together. A lot I could say about that show. It really was amazing, and so many terrific musicians and singers coming together to bring together the amazing musical legacy of my late grandfather. And I do want to say a few things about my Uncle Mark as well, and to the people.
He's a stalwart warrior.
He's absolutely. I truly can't think of a more worthy steward of the legacy of my grandfather's music, or a better person. For those of you that don't know Mark, obviously you know him to an extent, for he's invited you, but for those of you that don't know him a little more intimately, you can't pick a more selfless guy, the lengths he'll go to for others, all without asking anything in return ever, and as easily exemplified in today's show. And a piece that I do want to say, just that I'm really amazed by, that I only learned myself a few years ago. A piece of the history that I didn't have was that I didn't know that Mark had no idea that Cy was a musician until later in life, which I was astounded by, because I grew up knowing, obviously, of Cy's music through my grandmother and through Mark. 20 years is not a short time, but you would think that Mark knew this and knew this world of music since birth, and I just think it's an amazing testament to what a brilliant man Mark is, that he's learned all of this and it's so ingrained in him. Highlight of the show for me was seeing the video clip, because I've only seen pictures of Cy. I had never seen motions out of him before. So, yeah,
That was
no.
the first time you had seen that?
Yeah, no, I've seen.
Mark and I put together an extended piece on that.
Really?
It's on the Cy Walter YouTube page.
It is.
Check it out.
Okay, great. Yeah.
It's a whole series. I mean, that clip is longer.
Yeah.
There's actually other material in it, so you can check out that.
Perfect.
And there's information there, and just give it a look, and you never know what's going to trigger it, you know?
Absolutely, and just in summation, because I know I've taken a few minutes, but no, this event, in terms of in my lifetime and all of the Cy related and this type of music related events that I've been to, which, as you can imagine, my family, there's been many, absolutely my favorite. Mark has done a tremendous job with me in the last few years of getting me more interested in it than you could say that I was younger, given the cross-generational divide. But
it's really hard to find your passion and your purpose.
Yeah.
And it takes time.
Yeah.
So it's okay that it takes
Yeah,
time.
no,
And
but
it may or may not be for you.
oh no, of course, I will.
There's so many ways to contribute.
Absolutely.
There's so many hats to wear.
If you want to get more material about what I am not into with it, I love really the composition, and the musical component of it speaks to me probably more than the singing. But Mark's done a tremendous job in the last few years of. I do now feel the legacy of Cy, and this event really encapsulated all of that. So Mark, to close this all out, hats off to you. Excellent job, my friend. Love you.
Christian, that was freaking awesome.
Great. Too long?
No way.
Will you cut it up?
Hello? Can I have your attention, please? I would like to do something very special at the moment for a number of reasons. It involves Scott and his family. We're going to share something that Scott was not aware of. I mentioned to him a few weeks ago that his Aunt Maggie, Margaret Perrin, wonderful friend, dear, terrific pianist, had composed a song, and he did not know of that. He didn't know that she'd written it, and she didn't know of its existence. Maggie shared it with me when I was visiting her at one point in Atlanta. The song was called "Wherefore Art Thou, Romeo?" And it was done as part of a review by Julius Monk. Julius Monk was an impresario who my father performed duo piano with early in their careers in the 30s at 1 Fifth Avenue. But he was a dear friend of both of our families, the Perrins and the Walters. And Maggie's song was composed for that review. But she didn't have the sheet music. She just mentioned the review's name to me, Baker's Dozen. Baker's Dozen, Julius Monk. This is a rare book I found. I'm gifting to Scott. The lyrics are to be found in this book. However, we still didn't have the sheet music. So I did some research and discovered that Julius Monk's papers are reposited in the New York Library for the Performing Arts at Lincoln Center. And I got a researcher's license, and I spent an afternoon going through boxes of fascinating material of Julius Monk's songs and sketches, and found the sheet music for Wherefore Art Thou Romeo.
Oh, Mark.
And Carol Bufford has consented to sing it. And Jed Disler is going to accompany her. And Michael Stever is going to film it for posterity.
It sounds like wonderful.
Yes, it does. Wonderful.
Romeo, oh Romeo, when wilt thou pop the question? My heart hath fear, the hour is growing late. This delay from day to day hath ruined my digestion, and I'm afraid, my love, it cannot wait. A secret longing in me stirs for pale blue towels marked his and hers. Wherefore art thou, Romeo? Why doth thou persist in making mine the heart that can't resist? Canst thou hear thy Juliet, eager to be thine, with head you set to spinning like his wine? Wouldst thou be the feather in my cap, dear? Step into my trap, dear. I would do the most for thee, burn toast for thee. Wherefore art thou, Romeo? Why dost thou design in making me thy lovesick Valentine? I swoon for thee as a turtle dove, for my feathered love divine. Wherefore art thou, Romeo, of
Fantastic. May I say something? So first of all, welcome. I want to say that I am completely convinced that that song was written in this apartment because in 1950, Forrest Perrin, Margaret Perrin, and Fred Perrin moved from Atlanta right here, and that's when they brought in two pianos, and they've been here ever since. And I also want to say that Stan Freeman, who was Cy Walters' plural piano partner, that was Stan's piano right there. Stan left his piano in New York when he went to the coast to do the Carol Burnett show, and the piano's been there ever since. Wow. And I think we should cut the cake and sing happy birthday.
And I want to say one further thing. Scott is the most generous host I've ever encountered, throwing this party. And that cake, lest anyone have any confusion about the matter, I had nothing to do with it. This incredible creation is Scott's.
No. A timeout. One minute on the cake. Is Kim here? Kim Clark is the baker of the cake. She just won the Great American Baking Show on TV. Is this your first professional cake since winning?
It is.
Award-winning baker and cake. You should, if you have an event, get Kim to bake you a cake.
And Michael, you've got to get a pen in on that cake.
Oh, of course. Mark, if I knew you were coming, I would have moved out of this cake. Thank you very much. Excuse me, buddy. Let's sing
Thank you so much.
Kim, how long did it take to make
knows that song. That's amazing. Is that fantastic? Sorry? Ruth Buzzy in the show. And Delphic, wasn't each show had a number like 6 come 7 come 11 and Baker's Dozen and 5 whatever. They all had a number in them, like a new edition.